Hello and welcome everyone. Thanks for coming to this month's Poem Jam. I'm a librarian with the San Francisco Public Library, John Smalley. I work in the Humanities Center. Before we get started, I want to take a moment to acknowledge our community. On behalf of the Public Library, we wish to welcome you to the unceded ancestral homeland of the Ramaytush Ohlone, who are the original inhabitants of the San Francisco Peninsula. As the indigenous stewards of this place, and in accordance with their traditions, the Ramaytush have never ceded, lost, nor forgotten their responsibilities as caretakers. As guests, we who reside in their traditional territory recognize that we benefit from living and working on their traditional homeland. We wish to pay our respects by acknowledging the ancestors, elders, and relatives of the Ramaytush community, and by affirming their sovereign rights as First Peoples. If anyone is here for the first time, I want to mention that we do have a regular Poem Jam reading series that meets the second Thursday of each month, ordinarily in the Latino room, which is on the lower level of this library. So please come back in March, but meet us on the lower level in the Latino room. Today's program is presented in tandem with an exhibit, Stitching Resilience, Celebrating Women, Life, Freedom, a quilt exhibit created by Iranian Women in Network. And this exhibit is up now on the third floor through April 30th, across from the Humanities Department reference desk. At the conclusion of today's program, we hope that you will stop by that desk after our program concludes. We can just take the elevator down 2 floors and take a look. That's in 5 cases. There will also be a quilt making exhibit on March 2nd. So you can learn more about library programs by either picking up one of our library newsletters on the table over there or flyers. Also there, as Kim mentioned, there's coffee and cookies. Please do help yourself. You can also find out about events by visiting our online events calendar at sfpl.org. So now, without further ado, I want to turn the microphone over to San Francisco's Poet Laureate Emerita, Kim Shuck, who is the host of our long-running Poem Jam series. Please give a warm welcome to Kim.
Thank you. A couple of years ago, I was working on a project with other artists from the San Francisco Bay Area, primarily, that we called Manifest Differently. And the premise of that project had its roots in murdered and missing Indigenous women. And here's what I mean by that. I always thought people knew we were getting killed at enormously high rates. And when I found out that people did not know that, it made me wonder what was happening in other communities that I didn't know about. And so the project was to communicate directly with one another and find out what the big concerns were for other communities other than my own. And one of the things that I think I found out about simultaneously through Mahnaz and also through doing that project was the circumstances for Iranian women, which are horrific at the moment and have been for a strong minute. And so this is the second of these that we've done basically to bring more attention to the issue because it's necessary. And since it's not my community, it was necessary to, and delightful at the same time, to put this show together with Mahnaz Badihian, who is a well-known and well-respected poet in San Francisco and elsewhere. And I'm going to bring Mahnaz up right now. Multiply published translator, reader of fabulous poetry, singer, friend. Come on up, Mahnaz. Have a hand.
Okay, I really want to thank you and welcome all of you in this really difficult, bad weather right now. We had more readers. We were coming from San Jose. No, where? Berkeley down to, yeah. They sent us an email. They said they cannot come because. But I want to thank our musician, Sirvan, that came from Walnut Creek. Yes. And also Maryam from far away bought a ticket. The event today is, as Kim said, and I want to appreciate, Kim actually suggested to me that she wants to have event for women life freedom. How about that? That's so special that she thought of that. What is woman life freedom stand? Why? What is it? In 2022, a young Kurdish girl named Mahsa Amini, or Gina Amini, because she's from Kurdistan, and this Islamic Republic said, no, you cannot use Kurdish name for your child, although they're Kurdish. So they called her Mahsa instead of Gina. She was coming from Kurdistan to go to Tehran to see her uncle. Her younger brother was with her. As soon as she gets off the underground, morality police, they call it morality police, comes and say, oh, we saw a strand of your hair showing. Why didn't you cover your hair? So they arrest her. They arrest her, and she starts crying and begging, you cannot take me. My brother is too young. I can't leave my brother, unattended. But I think they hit her head so bad that 24 hours later, she was in hospital, and she died. She died. This caused really, really immense anger between Iranian people, and the uprising started. It was a disaster. It was uprising, and they killed more people. They killed so many young people. They arrested so many people. They blinded so many people. They shoot in their eyes. You can't just imagine. I don't want to say so many, difficult situations here. But this is what happened in 2022. And every year, Iranians around the world, and this just became something universal. Everybody knew about Mahsa Amini. So the slogan actually originated in Kurdistan. Woman means representing woman's right, gender equality, and the fight against oppression. So that's for woman. Life stands for dignity, the right to live freely, and the fundamental human rights of all people. And freedom, of course, symbolizes political and personal freedom, democracy, and the end of authoritarian rules. So we have a few readers, few didn't show up, we were thinking to come. I will invite Maryam Raeesdana. I will say a few words about her. I was so busy with San Francisco Writers Conference that I didn't put everything together reading, but today I talked to her. She's a wonderful writer. She published a book, novel called Crystal City, correct? In Farsi. She's also a poet. She's a translator. She immigrated twice, one to France and one to United States 10 years ago? 14 years ago. So I knew her online. This is the first time I'm seeing her face to face. So I invited her, and she graciously accepted the invitation. And here comes our Dena. Dena is another Iranian poet. So I will call Maryam to read her poems? Yes, thank you.
Okay, greetings to everyone. I'm very happy to be here. I come from the LA area at the invitation my dear poet friend Mahnaz Badihian. I hope tonight will be a memorable experience for all of us. But before reading my poem, I would like to speak a few minutes about woman life freedom movement. Well, tonight I stand here not just to read a few lines of poetry, but to pay tribute to a voice that never be silenced. Even if buried in silence, it will rise again, a voice that even after brutal crackdowns over the past 4 years, still echoes through quiet streets, in muted screams, and in hopeful gazes. Woman life freedom is not just a slogan, it's a cry born from the depth of pain and resistance. A cry that does not arise from anger, but from faith in the beauty of humanity. These 3 simple words carry the stories of thousands of unfinished lives, stories written with courage, endured with love, and kept alive with hope. This movement reminds us that life is not merely about eating, sleeping, and making love. Life means living under the light of equality, human dignity, and freedom for all people. And freedom means the right to choose, the right to have a voice. Women life freedom showed us that the women and men who died standing did so not just for themselves, but for humanity, for generations yet to come, but will inherit the legacy of courage from last generation. Tonight, I dedicate these words to all the women and men who lit a candle in the heart of darkness, to all those who to all those who shouted their dreams even when they knew no one might hear their voice. This poem is not just my words. It is the echo of those voices who fought for their right to live, for their right to be free. I will read my poem, but I know no poem will ever be as vast as the truths that they lived. It will never become, for they were the poem themselves, for they are the high essence of poetry themselves. Now I will read my poem. The title is Time to Become a Woman, translated by Mrs. Mojdeh Bahar. It's time to become a woman. On the first day, I was a plant, I admit. My vessels took roots in the soil. A 1,000-year-old palm tree. It stands in the golden sands of ancient Persia, stocky and sturdy, at the heart of Mesopotamia of Persia. The moon was planting fruits on my lap. It is time to become a woman, sprung from valor, with 1,000 seeds in my heart. Now, here, the sunlight of suns on my lap. Now here, the moonlight of daughters in my tresses. This chaotic and delirious story, why doesn't it quiet down here? Why? Many a skirt torn, many tresses cut. Wrath replaced the soul, hate replaced the eyes, blood splattered on fragile hopes. Now, the woman condemned with half a wit, with half an inheritance, vanguard of every myth of freedom, with warrior tresses, each strand like an army. Toppled the world of ignorance and insanity. Now, stone by stone, cliff by cliff, the sound of mountain range is hers. Now, not drop by drop, but the constant roar of the river, the sound of sea is hers. And the storm beneath her feet escapes from history with the love of freedom, like the very first day, with 1,000 roots in fist. It's time to become a freedom. It's time to become freedom. Thank you very much. But let me explain a point in a verse. I mentioned that now the woman, or the women, condemned with half a wit and half an inheritance. In the Islamic law, a woman is considered half of a man in terms of intellect and inheritance. For example, when an estate is divided as an inheritance, a son receives twice the share of a daughter. Or, in the court, 2 women must testify about the same matter for the judge to accept their testimony. Thank you very much.
So I want to reiterate my gratitude for people making it out in this weather. It's been kind of exciting. And part of this is because right before I called Dena up, John handed them a piece of paperwork to fill out. That was remarkable, Maryam. Thank you so much for those words. That was really remarkable. I'm always grateful to hear from a new poet that's new to me. And that was pretty exciting. It's not the first time that I've had Dena Rod at this, not this microphone, but maybe one of them. Not up here, but downstairs. The work is phenomenal, and that's all I'm going to say about that. Also, I love the new haircut. Thank you for being here. Come on up. Dena Rod.
Salam. Hi, everyone. My name is Dena. I have some poems for you tonight based around my experience of growing up as Iranian American here in California to parents who fled Iran after the revolution. This first poem is called Body Work. We spoke with tactile sensations before my tongue knew words, the roughness of your tender embrace belying the expanse of smooth skin wrapped around my infant frame. I should have read the omens to my own fate when you first asked me to walk over your shoulder blades. We've been here before, virile with black inked into your mustache, my juvenile steps over the ends of your bones. I know where the curve of my spine began to bend under touch, sweet touch, placed at the nape of my neck. Your neck curves there too, where tired tendons snap taut into place as flushing skin whispers what is larynxally locked through capillary warmth. Limbs sprawled over grounded earth, your weathering hand clutches the arc of my calloused foot, textured palm to plantar bottom. The way your feet bend outward mimic mine as they cup each other, a penance ritual for a debt I can never repay. My account of life on borrowed credit still. With gentle footsteps over your back, I can begin. For Persepolis. My body is a temple set in a wasteland, armored with mirrors for camouflage. My body is a wasteland and a temple, a possession so prized a Trojan horse of people came to invade and ruin me, filled my insides with powders, oils, flowers, and wines drunk deep from my ceremonial cup. Dusting the dead with laughter, shaking columns down, crumbling plaster. Still I stand, a heritage forbidden from the future, wiped from the cartography of record, as my ruins scatter cracked mirrors to reflect the rot outside. Black and white. There's a photograph in black and white. Its edges are curled yellow with age, found in a family album, buried underneath baby pictures of me weeping on green grass, my father leaning over coals with skewers of meat. An outlier, the sore thumb in the Kodak printed Costco issue catalog of my childhood. There are women holding cocktails, wearing little black dresses, laughing, dancing, coal smudging around their eyes, their hair bed-decked and beehived, differing only slightly from the transgressions of my own youth, with martini glasses in hand, young and somewhere looking free. In Kojoe topped my tongue. Where is this? When? My dad said. Before the revolution. Iran in the 60s. I would hear people speak longingly about that mythical time before. I didn't know much less the after of a country where my roots are buried deep. This Iran was new to me. Only knowing the Iran veiled from me and the West, locked away, hiding, not brazenly smoking a cigarette in a bar, cocktail in hand. My father didn't tell me who these women were, whether they were alive or our blood. I still don't know, but there's a photograph, a window into what happened to my parents, what they had lost in their country before the revolution. Thank you. I'll leave you with this last poem. Extra, extra. Broken and branded, delirious, never knowing when I am American. In rapidly changing times of peace, despite what is printed on my passport, I am told, get new bones. Your current ones are made of soft sorrow and diminishing dreams, only good for carrion. I am Iranian. Palms pressed against a glass barrier, prayer left unheard by a robbed rosary, detained with sticky remnants. As the sky begins to lighten one morning, another man asks me where I am from. But he doesn't want to hear Oakland with treetops chopped to make way for power lines, with roses and tomatoes growing in December's dry grass. America, a bottomless well of desire. How many skins will I shed so I can fit into new lives? I am Iranian, crunching against dry leaves, wishing for enough water to fill my mouth, waiting for the mention of what's front page again, our evil axist again, as he paper bag embracing, steel reserve drinking in his fist, a silver bullet to kill the specter of reality. He tells me, I love Iran, I hate Bush. To him, it's 2005, headlines mimicked all over again. Rewind, rinse, repeat. Always the same fear until he wipes his mouth, says goodbye to me by way of God will help Iran, and I wonder how. Looking to the ground, I see a pigeon with one toe throwing middle finger in the air by default, other toes lost to a hair tourniquet, stout and hard wearing against all that loss. I am American, passport rebound like when we were kids, wearing the VHS tape back over plastic wheels because America missed something when they went to the bathroom. Rewind, and then we could watch again and again until understanding dawned on us. I wish I could fast forward or at least skip a chapter past the sour taste lingering on my tongue, waiting for blood on sharp teeth-cutting lips. While you, America, still chew on the sides of your nails, moistening that dry cuticle with your saliva, drooling over what comes next. Thank you.
I'm so honored that I was able to invite Sirvan. Sirvan is very busy. I gave her the timing like 2 months ago. And every couple of weeks, I sent him a message, are you sure you're coming? And he said, yes, I have it in my calendar, on my calendar. So here we are. He drove in this really bad weather to keep his promise. He's a talented musician. He plays many instruments. Tar, setar, shurangiz, the one you're holding, shurangiz. He can explain to it. He's from Kurdish region of Iran, and we just love his art, and he's such a lovely man. So.
Thank you so much, Mahnaz Jan. Today I wanted to play for you Iranian music, and final goal in Iranian music is improvisation. So I don't know what kind of music, what mode, or what rhythm I want to play for you. And this instrument is a modern instrument in the Iranian music. It's combination of 3 instruments. Tambur, the bowl is exactly like tambur, fingerboard like setar, and strings and surface like tar. So it's a very new, but the sound has a very old roots. Yeah, thank you.
So I do these projects periodically where I write on a single subject for a number of days. And I did this for 50 days, but I am not going to burden you with all 50 of the poems. Just going to do a few of them. And this is about eyes. Begin with the cornea, light's first contact, reflections. In my dreams, there is masa, and the euphemism, a veil of shattered silk, the eye sees through. Died as a result of police activity, a vibration translated from the magnetic, the electric, into a movement of outrage and escape. On the woman, on the bus, a woman in her left eye socket, jet black glass. I have also seen with things that are not an eye. Gestures of formal mourning, these days draped in all the arrogance of extremism, these men, smell of fear and bully lust. Fear and their own inconsequence. Government that speaks in pain and maiming, permission to murder the poets, blind the women as they try to unfold. Government that executes the musicians who stand at the emotional outpost. I will write eyes. I will write eyes from a third of the world away. And if I send you an eye a month, a summer month, a fall month full of gardens you can dance in, of streets where you can walk, and the wind comes up in the afternoons that will pester your hair. And although I suspect that some religions have morality police, even here in the feral West Coast, they are not in charge. Motherland, they say. A palm against an old building, a building on ground that rises to support the weight of change, geography that rings a mutual language, palm against cheek, and eye, weeping words like execution that takes a generation of journalists, poets, musicians, and rearranges the word devout until we can only read it as torture. It's a complicated equation defining woman as something that happens in a man's eye. Woman is long hair, forbid seeing hair. Woman is curves and not curves, obscure the body. No way to make their own thoughts illegal. They confine, constrain, imprison. Eyes are books, a language, are unacceptable. And I will write an eye for each one you take. Cover pages with eyes for everyone to read. Women are a force, and like any other force locked tight, restricted, become an explosion. Complicit eye. What belongs to the world? What is witness if the witness doesn't speak? Even at this distance, we hear the word woman translated as hostage. The word poet become kindling. My heart, sisters, let my heart be the foundation for your sanctuary. Thank you. There are a lot of places where there's tyranny right now. And I will say now what I've said before on this subject. Human beings cannot maintain fear for an endless amount of time. And so the fear becomes fearlessness. Tyrants need to be very careful how fearless they make us. Mahnaz, I would love to hear. Thank you.
I have one poem. I will read part of it in Farsi, then the entire poem in English. مهسا نام تو ضربان قلبی است، تب در سینه باد نجوایی که به فریاد بدل شد، زخمی که بسته نمی شود. شب دستان سنگین نش را بر دهان مادران، دختران، خواهران فشرده بود، اما سپیده از میان حجاب شعله می کشد. با گیسوان رها در خیابان قدم میزنند، بی پروا، بی هراس، رام نشدنی، با مشت‌های گره کرده زنجیرهایی را میشکنند که دست‌های مادرانشان را زنگار بسته بود. Now the English version. They cut her breath, but not her voice. It rose in the streets like fire, spreading through the veins of nation. Too long silenced, too long broken. Mahsa, your name is a heartbeat in drum in the chest of the wind, a whisper that became a roar, a wound that will not close. This is a good part of it. It will never close. People will keep uprising, uprising, uprising. The night once pressed its heavy hands upon the mouth of mothers, daughters, sisters, but dawn is burning through the veil. With hair unbound, they walk the streets. Heart bareheaded, fearless, untamed, with fists clenched. They break the chains that rusted over their mothers' hands. They cut their hair, but not their strength. They cut their breath, but not their will. They rise, stone against steel, flesh against gun, freedom against fear. And though the bullets rain, though prisons swell, though the streets darken with shadows and blood, the song of the uprising will not be buried. Mahsa, they called you weak, but your name became a revolution. Mahsa, they tried to erase you, but now you're written on every wall, in everywhere. Thank you. Thank you very much. And I think this is the last part, correct? We are going to perform with musician, okay? Okay. I'm going to sing a song.
It's on.
It's on?
It's on.
Oh, it is on. با تیر مژگان میزنی، با تیر مژگان میزنی، تیرم چند، تیرم چند، تیرم چند، غم عشقت مرا از پای افکن، پای افکن، پای چرا میزنی 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 یار، چرا میکشی 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 یار، نای مژگان
have so many people turn up when it's just seriously dramatic out there. I'd also like to thank the library, John Smalley, and in particular tonight, Kenny, because this room is not the room that we're usually in, and so things have been slightly fraught tonight. So please, another huge round of applause for all of you. You're remarkable. Some of us are going to make our way down to the third floor to look at the quilt pieces that are up. But again, have a great rest of your evening, and thank you for coming.